Hi everybody. So I'm going to make this just in case you missed class today. This is the activity that we worked on, and I'm looking at my teacher dashboard right now. And our goal today was to practice two things. One was to look for and make use of structure. The other was to practice building communication skills. So the first thing that I asked people to do is to check out this picture here. And we wanted to practice counting, but not counting one by one. So I don't want to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't want to like count them like that. What we wanted to do was practice counting a couple of different ways. And that was by grouping. So here was the suggestion is you could see this top 2 here, then maybe these 3, and then these 2. So maybe you count this by saying, okay, 2 plus 3 plus 2 is a total of 7. That is one way to do it. And then students came up with all sorts of other ways to go about doing that. So let's see what else other people did. Here somebody came up and they said, okay, here's 3 and here's 3 and here's 1. So that got us 7. Got some other here of like, here's 1 in the center and there were 6 around the outside. So people just tried to come up with different ways of doing that. So that was the first bit. The next thing we moved on to was counting these avocados. And there's a bunch of different ways. And your goal was to count them and describe in words how you could count them. So in this case, like one person said there were 12 filled avocados with 3 in each row. So they're saying like there's 3 that have pits here, 3 that have pits here, 3 and 3. So that's 4 groups of 3. Some people said 12 times 2 down the middle. There are 12 on each side. So if you just drew a line, if you drew a line straight down the middle, then you'd get 12 on each side. And then on this next screen 3, people drew kind of what they saw. So here's somebody who said, I've got groups of 3, and there are 8 of those groups of 3. So that was 24. Somebody over here, I think this person probably is saying 6 by 4. That was a pretty popular one. So this would be like 6 times 4 is a total of 24. Then we had all sorts of different ones. You can see people were being kind of creative in how they might go about counting them. And again, part of it was just communication. So can you describe then how you did this? Moving on to the next screen, I gave them this new pattern and asked them to count how many squares are in each image. So here, you'll notice people started seeing like, oh, here are the 3 new squares every time. And so in the first one, there happened to be 7. So this person said it's adding by 1 on each side. So I think that they mean that there's like a side here, a side here, and a side here. In the first one, there were 7. In this one, there were 10. Here, there are 13. And then they just extended the pattern beyond that by adding 3 every single time. And you can see people kind of came up with their own different ways of doing that. And then people practiced kind of coming up with the actual sequence. We had one more, which you can't really see because of my face here. I'll make my face smaller. There we go. Here there were 3, here there was 8, here there was 15. And people, again, just doing their best to kind of describe what was happening. We discovered this was a little bit different than the other ones because you're not multiplying or adding the same number, but in this case, you're adding 5, you're adding 7, and then they guessed that we'd be adding 9. So this person didn't actually write the sequence down. They wrote down how they saw that it was growing. But several people did write the sequence down. Here's another person who saw this and they said, here's 3, and then there's 5, and then they're adding 7. And so they actually wrote down the sequence of 3 and then 8 and then 15. And then they guessed in the next one, there would be 26, there will be 24, but that's okay. Because we're all just learning, right? It's cool. Then we saw this one, which was a little bit of a real life pattern where it's going up by tens. And you'll notice there's like smaller text here that says there's a $25 gift card. If you purchase that, then you get the free $5. If you spend 50, you get 15. If you spend 75, you get 25. So people, again, tried to describe this. But all of this, and you have the access to the link here. I put the link in the same place where I added this video. Your job now is to go make your own pattern, okay? So you're going to make your own pattern, and I put 2 examples of kind of the picture that you could draw. So here I made a pattern with the Legos, where each of these towers was one Lego taller than the other one. Here I made a pattern with, there we go, move my face. Here I made a pattern with cereal where I just kind of made a square out of cereal. So 1, 4, 9, and then I kept going. And what you're gonna do is go to the Google Classroom. There are 2 examples there. One of them is just a single Google Doc where you could include a picture, describe how things are changing, and then give me the sequence. Or if it's easier for you, you can just upload multiple things, and you could upload a picture. And then if you want to write down how you see it growing, you could do that and then expand on that. Please let me know if you have questions. I would love to be able to use your stuff because we're going to use, without your names, we're going to use it in our next activity on Wednesday. And let me know if you have questions.